I've got my top 10 must-add pitchers in fantasy baseball, and that list is coming up next on Beat the Odds. Don't go anywhere. Hello, sports fans, and welcome back to another episode of Beat the Odds. I'm going to give you my top 10 must-add pitchers for Week 8 in fantasy baseball. If you like this content, then please smash that like button. A special thanks goes to all of our subscribers who have been watching these videos, as you now account for 15% of all viewers. To the other 85% of viewers that haven't yet subscribed, I encourage you to do so, as it helps me create these videos for you. Also, leave a comment on a player that you think deserves to be on this list. Do you have a burning fantasy baseball question? Ask me on Q. Go to askmeonq.com/beattheodds, submit your question, and for a small fee, I will personalize a response and send it to your email. It's super easy to do, and it's a great way to get fantasy baseball advice while also supporting this channel. Now let's get started here with number 10. We have Patrick Sandoval, 8% owned. Over the last 2 weeks, he's got a win, 17 strikeouts, 1.50 ERA, and a .83 whip. When you have an unhittable changeup and a completely hittable fastball, you need to try to find a way to integrate your changeup more often. This is what's leading to Sandoval's success over the last 2 weeks. Opponents are hitting over 400 off his four-seamer and sinker and under 100 off his changeup and curveball. Teams will adjust, but I'd stick him out for a couple more starts to see what he can do. Let's go to number 9. We have Alex Lange, 45% owned. Over the last 2 weeks, he's got a save, 4 strikeouts, no ERA, and a .86 whip. The Detroit bullpen has become a source of frustration for some fantasy owners. Alex Lange was dropped en masse in favor of Jason Foley, but it seems as though Lange is the favorite to collect saves moving forward. Walks have been his downfall in the past, and he's collected 10 and 14 innings pitched so far this year, but he's making up for that by only allowing 1 extra base hit, a double, so far all season. Let's go to number 8. We have Yennier Cano, 36% owned. Over the last 2 weeks, he's got 2 saves, 3 strikeouts, no ERA, and a 1.13 whip. After an incredibly hot start, Craig Kimbrell has really been struggling of late, and that has caused the Baltimore Brass to look to Cano to start closing games in the interim. This is nothing new, as he has stepped in when Felix Bautista went down with his injury last August. Cano is a sinker changeup pitcher who is good at coaxing ground balls. He is worth rostering regardless of Kimbrell's status. Let's go to number 7. We have Luis Gil, 51% owned. Over the last 2 weeks, he's got 2 wins, 10 strikeouts, .73 ERA, and a .65 whip. Gil is in the top 5 in the league in walks allowed, so you really should pass on him. That's more of a message for all managers in my fantasy baseball leagues to leave him alone so that way I can come in and scoop him up. He gets 11 strikeouts per 9 and only allows 4 hits per 9. And he pitches for the Yankees and their resurgent offense. If you're not in any of my leagues, then you have permission to pick him up. Let's go to number 6. We got Taj Bradley, 37% owned. In his start this past week, he had 7 strikeouts, a 1.50 ERA, and a 1 whip. You remember Taj? He was the highly profiled, highly anticipated prospect out of Tampa last season. He had struggled out of the gates last season, particularly with his cutter, but he could be an ace in the making with how hard he throws. If any of your current starting pitchers has more than a 1.40 whip, then I would contemplate switching them for Taj Bradley if he's available. Let's move on to number 5. We have Clark Schmidt, 44% owned. Over the last 2 weeks, he's got 2 wins, 18 strikeouts, a 2.08 ERA, and a .98 whip. Schmidt has historically been a borderline pitcher, but what makes him useful this season is that he's striking out batters at a much higher rate than what we're used to seeing. He subscribes to the school of don't pitch anything straight, and while that normally means that he'll have a hard time commanding the strike zone, Schmidt actually has a league average walk rate. Cheap wins and solid ratios await for all those who pick him up. Let's go to number 4. We have Michael Kopech, 26% owned. Over the last 2 weeks, he's got a win, 2 saves, 5 strikeouts, a 1.42 ERA, and a .95 whip. We all know the quality of Kopech's fastball, and we all know that he struggles with control, as most power pitchers do. The fact is that he needs to be rostered despite his control issues and despite the team that he plays for, because he's really the only option on the White Sox roster. He is a useful pitcher, and if he can bag 20 saves this season, that just screams profit for anybody that decides to pick him up. Moving on to number 3, we have Dean Kremer, 40% owned, 2 wins over the last 2 weeks, 10 strikeouts, 1.38 ERA, and a .77 whip. Kramer has been a popular stream pitcher over the last couple of weeks, but it might actually be time now to lock him into your rotation. With a few other pitchers on this list, it's all about trying to cash in on some cheap wins. The Orioles are headed towards a 90-win season, so getting in on the rotation is usually a good thing. His role might change once the team's pitchers are healthy, but feel free to roll with them for now. Moving on to number 2, we have Cole Irvin, 37% owned, 3 wins over the last 2 weeks with 15 strikeouts, .95 ERA, and a .63 whip. Did you know that Cole Irvin is the top-rated pitcher over the last 2 weeks? It certainly helps when you win 3 games, but it seems as though that the lefty is doing a really good job of keeping his hitters off balance. He's also doing a really good job of keeping runners off base by limiting walks and inducing a lot of ground balls. I like Irvin's chances of locking down a rotation spot long-term on this team. And finally, at number 1, we have Garrett Crochet, 57% owned, 2 wins, 24 strikeouts, a 1.59 ERA, and a .65 whip over the last 2 weeks. If you made it all the way to number 1 on this video here, congratulations to you. I would encourage you now to pause the video and to check to see if Crochet is available on your waiver wire. Pick him up if he is, and then you can thank me in the comments section below. Crochet has been lethal over the last 2 weeks, and if it wasn't for his 3-game rust patch earlier this season, he would almost certainly be universally owned at this point. And that's going to do it here for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like on the video, and of course subscribe to the channel for more content like this. I'm going to sign off for now, but I will catch you guys on the next episode.